So we've been through beginner tips, we've been through an early build, we've been through upgrades, and now it is time for the absolute best class or best build in the whole of Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, obviously based on my opinion. And this one is going to be an absolute grind to get your hands on, but once you have it, it is so worth it. And this one is the Scout Sharpshooter subclass. It's going to require being level 18 with the Scout, which has taken, I'm going to say, anywhere between like 12 and 14 hours of grinding. It's taken me a very, very long time personally. But that's my overall playtime, so there are like maybe a couple of hours in other classes and stuff. But once you are level 18 with the Scout, you've got Sharpshooter, you're going to start with the M1000 Classic. And this weapon is an absolute monster. And what you want to do to get the most out of this build is you want to focus on the M1000 Classic specifically. You want to prioritize all of your upgrades when possible in the damage, the reload speed, the fire rate. You basically want to bump up the DPS of this weapon as much as you can. And when it comes to the overclocks for this weapon, the ones I really like are Rubber Tip, because you're going to get knockback on the enemies. And also, if possible, you want to get your hands on gas rerouting for the 25% fire rate and reload speed. And then it's all about being quite risky with the class. You can't play this in a very simple way. Like, you need to buff the damage up because this M1000 Classic is such a hard-hitting weapon. So if you can get the damage high enough in your run, you're pretty much going to be like one-shotting the enemies that come out that have the health bars on them. But as I said, it's going to take a lot of risk. One of the things that's going to help out is the artifact, the gold bullet tip, or the gold tipped bullets, which is going to increase your damage by 1% for every 5 gold you have. So basically, the shop is obsolete in these runs. Because as well as saving all of your gold for that damage increase, you also want the artifact. You could take the crit chance one. For every nitro you have, you get an extra 0.5% crit chance. Or you can take the one for every nitro you have, you gain 2% damage and you lose 0.5% movement speed. But that's the riskiest one of all. You're gaining a load of damage, but you're becoming really slow. So when it gets to the end of the run and you're facing the Dreadnought, you're not really going to be able to avoid the attacks. So if you are going to take the artifact that lowers your movement speed, then I highly recommend making sure you have movement speed coming in from other areas, like your upgrades, and also if you pick them up when you've leveled up in that run. But it's not just risky in you're going to be moving around really slow, it's also risky because you're not going to be able to spend your nitro or your gold in the shop. But when you put risk versus reward, there is definitely a gigantic reward to come from this build, because you're going to hit these enemies like trucks. And then one thing I really enjoy doing with this build as well is when you get the weapon, the M1000 Classic, up to level 18 and it comes to your unstable overclocks. The one I like to put on is Thick Boy because it puts all of your projectiles into one. It reduces the reload speed and it greatly increases your damage, and you'll see in the gameplay in the background that I'm absolutely obliterating gigantic hordes of enemies in one shot with this weapon. But because it is a single shot, it does have piercing and stuff, it's going to provide knockback, but because it's a single shot weapon, at base, if I remember correctly, it's got 4 shots before it has to reload. I highly recommend getting something full auto to back you up, like the Deep Core, or pretty much just anything that's full auto, like just something that's a little bit faster firing, just for those like pesky little bugs that get a little bit too close. So yeah, it's going to be a massive grind to get to the subclass, the Sharpshooter one for the Scout. You need to be level 18, and then you're going to have to get the M1000 Classic up to level 12 to unlock the overclocks. But once you've got that all set up, jump in, level up all of the DPS boosting stats like your fire rate, reload speed and damage, and have an absolute blast mowing down the bugs in DRG Survivor. And what we are going to do is leave that video there. Let me know your thoughts and stuff about the Sharpshooter class in the comments. I will see you guys on the next one. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you out. Thank you for watching.